Greetings to you all, and I bid you welcome to Magiliam's Monstrous Musings, the show in which I, Magiliam the Magnificent, take you on a guided tour of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition monster manual. In today's episode, we'll be covering one of the dastardly, devilish denizens of the Nine Hells, and I figured there was no better place to start our exploration of such evil than with the Erinyes. Now, within the monster manual, we get relatively little detail on the Erinyes. It describes them as being devils who appear like humanoids who are exceptionally beautiful of any gender, that are fierce and striking warriors. But the interesting part of the entry is as follows. Legend tells that the first Erinyes were angels that fell from the heavens due to temptation or misdeed. That gives us an interesting historical angle to explore. A common belief amongst many Christians is that the devil himself was once an angel who fell from the heavens due to his pride and arrogance and his desire to outshine God. Now, there is some debate about the veracity of this and whether it's true or untrue, but we'll take a bit of a look at some of the passages that possibly do support this. One passage that supports this kind of reading is Isaiah 14, 12-17, that describes the fall of the day star, the son of dawn, Lucifer, if you will. It describes how he wished to sit on high above the heavens and above God himself, only to be cast down into a pit for his folly so all could see his foolishness. Now, there are some scholars that argue this refers to a mortal king, yet others maintain that it refers to a fallen angel. The other passage that is commonly pointed to support this is Ezekiel 28, 1-19. It begins by describing the king of Tyre, but soon goes into a discussion of a guardian cherub who was cast out of heavens and God's sight for his pride and arrogance. Once more, we're seeing this common trend in line with the previous passage. As we all know, religious texts can be prone to differing interpretations, and I think that the Bible has managed to outsell the monster manual, if only by a little bit. So there's always going to be ongoing debate about this. But regardless of that, it has had a strong effect on the cultural zeitgeist, and that is probably where this description of Erinyes being fallen angels comes from. That's the more hidden origin of Erinyes, but what if we take a look at, well, Erinyes. Erinyes are from Greek mythology, and wow, we're 3 episodes in and 2 of them are focused on Greek mythology. This may become a running trend. Now, within Greek mythology, the Erinyes are a trio of tormentors known as Tisiphone, Alecto, and Megara. If you played Hades, they might be familiar to you. These 3 served as goddesses of retribution and torment. They leveled a number of punishments upon people who were guilty of various crimes, like perjury, ignoring the laws of hospitality, watch out, Walder, and murder. Murder was an especially big no-no in their books. But, of course, not all murders are created equal. They especially hated murders done against family members, particularly if it was a child murdering a parent. See, the Erinyes were very into the obedience of children for the sake of their parents. They would actually deliver curses upon children at the behest of wronged parents. There are possible theories as to why, one of which is that they were created by a crime of a child against a parent. See, the Erinyes sprung from the blood of Uranus when he was castrated by his son Cronus. They sprung up from the ground like daisies when they did that. In mythology, they were also known for relentlessly hounding perpetrators of fratricide and matricide, like Alcmaeon and Orestes. They drove them insane with constant torment and assault, and they drove them to seek divine aid to try and help themselves, which they did to, mixed success. When not out and about, they were also known to reside in the underworld, delivering their punishments and torments as they did, often using whips. This might actually be the source of the use of the rope of entanglement by D&D 5e's Erinyes. But between these 2 sources, we can start to get a bit of a clearer picture for me of Erinyes, who they are and what they did and what inspired them. But of course, that's just half the image. The other half, of course, is the theming. Seems we're working our way through deadly sins because today we get to talk about an old favorite of mine, pride. See, pride is one of the oldest sins of humanity, and even beyond that, the sins of the angels. It was pride and arrogance that caused Satan to fall, if you subscribe to that particular reading. We can also see how pride has affected angels within the Forgotten Realms. For example, the angel Rhea Mantlemorn, who led her heavenly hosts against both sides of the Blood War, because she believed the heavens could strike down both the demons and the devils. She led her angels forth into glorious battle and was defeated. She fell and was transformed into the archdevil Zariel, who now leads the devilish forces on the first layer of Avernus. You see, pride is almost always a trap. Confidence can be good, yes, but when it gets out of control, then it starts to cause some issues. Perhaps you might like to use pride to play out the fall of an angel of your choice. Maybe one who's obsessed with beauty becomes vain and obsessive over their possession as fairest, and they start to eliminate the competition. Or one that pursues justice might forget about the importance of mercy within a fair trial. You can use pride to twist just about any values, but maybe use them to reflect your PCs as well. Have an Erinyes, a fallen angel, hold up a dark mirror to them. Show them the worst of who they are. But speaking of the worst of who they are, it might be worth talking about corruption and... Sorry, hang on a second. Yeah? Ugh, nah. Wait, really? No, it didn't. Yeah, no, man. Sorry, I'm doing a thing right now. I gotta go. Yeah, no, see you too. Yeah, Tuesday? Yeah. Warlocks, am I right? See, Erinyes have fallen themselves, but like all devils, they like to corrupt mortal souls to swell the ranks of the hells. So, maybe you'd like to play out the fall and the corruption of a PC of your choice. Now, a fair warning in regards to this. This can be intense for roleplay, and not every table is going to be on board with this. So it'd be worth talking with your players, seeing if they feel like they'd like to do a corruption arc, especially the player who is the one to be corrupted. Because you don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable based on what you're doing just because you're aiming for a good story, you know? But if they are on board with it, it can be a lot of fun. You can bring out the worst in them, question what's really holding them back, have the Erinyes be the devil whispering in their ear, seeing just how far they'll go. But if your table's not up for that, it need not be them that gets corrupted. What if you have, let's say, a church within a city? It's doing good work, it's expanding, the numbers of the followers grow, and the high priest's heart bursts with joy as she leads her flock in joyous worship and kind deeds. She'd get even more joy when an angel comes to visit her. The angel speaks of growth and potential, how her church is doing so much good, but it could do even more if it could just get a little bigger. Over time, proselytization becomes more aggressive. People are forced to attend sermons, perhaps under threat of violence. Other false religions are forced out of the city, and their followers are absorbed into her own flock, perhaps even through magical means. And the angel keeps visiting. It keeps giving her news of how well she's doing, how pleased her God is with her, just as she takes the next little step. In fact, it's brought some new rituals, new devotions, new prayers for her to glorify her God with. And she goes along with it. And then the sermons get darker, they get more violent, and soon the religion becomes unrecognizable as it no longer worships the gods, but the devils. That can be a fun corruption arc. But with all this talk of corruption, it might be worth talking about redemption as well. See, corruption isn't just a one-way street, and perhaps some fallen angels might be redeemed. Maybe your party is contacted by a god and asked to rescue a favored angel of theirs who has fallen and become an Erinyes. This might lead to a hellish campaign where the party has to battle their way throughout demons to try and rescue the angel. Or perhaps it will lead to a more introspective one where they examine their past deeds and what makes them important. This can lead to a lot of moving and genuine moments. Because in the end, there's not much more that is more fulfilling than bringing hope and light to a troubled soul. Either way, Erinyes are dastardly and devilish villains for you to employ, with perhaps a hint of sympathy at the heart of them. Of course, I'd like to bring this all together once more with a story of mine. I hope you all enjoy.
A mind is a rare gift. Those who walk the world with the ability to think and learn are blessed beyond measure. Each idea, each thought, each discovery is a spark of the divine. I would witness each, revel in the multitudinous destinies that spiraled from discovery. I followed this path and held its truths close to my heart for eons untold. Then there was insight. An alchemist would devise a poison to strike down his foes, but a chalice would be switched. A princess would be murdered and a war declared. Libraries and laboratories would burn like candles in the night. Civilization would regress, unless an idea was forgotten. A few simple words, a charm, and fate itself was rewritten. A minor breach of ethics, but one I was forgiven for. In the service of greater knowledge, a small discovery could be cast aside. The second breach was a murder, a dictator to be, or perhaps not. Destiny is always fickle. If they did rise, they would stifle thought and argument. Better to cut their thread short early. The third was a would-be poet. Her verse was clumsy and weak, but her mind for engineering was focused and clever. Better for her to forget her love, leave her asinine verses unwritten. Again and again, each transgression became easier. There was always a higher ideal, a better plan. Why should Ogma decide which ideas live and die? I was thought. I was foresight incarnate. It took far too long to realize that I wasn't the being I once was. For what need had I for introspection? Arrogance turned to defiance and corruption, and soon I found myself no longer welcome in celestial domains. But that was fine. It was as it should be. Thought needed guidance, a taskmaster to discard useless fancies. There is none better than I to decide such things, none greater than foresight. If the changes need come by whip and scourge, then so be it. I shall guide the failing creatures, sure and unfaltering, until their thoughts run true.
Thank you all once again for tuning into this episode. I really appreciate everyone who comes to watch it. And I would just like to say that Sorry, another one? 2 more, okay. Alright. Oh, really? Can I keep some of it? Like on top? Alright, yeah, I get it. Good thing I specialized in illusions. You ready for something?